Right now, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild 2 is slated for 2023, and it's looking like we're going to get it pretty early in the spring, maybe even March, the same time we got the first game. But by then, it'll be a total of 6 years in between both games, which is a very long time. So before we even get to that game and start talking and speculating about Breath of the Wild 2, I wanted to stop and relive Breath of the Wild 1 one last final time before we move past. So what we're going to start doing is going back and looking at the most fun, interesting, and exciting locations that are on the map that a lot of us probably forgot about, or some of us have never even known were there in the first place. So today I have 10 cool locations for you guys. Of course, these were given to me by you, so those of you that sent in your cool location, you will be featured in this video. And if you guys out there have any other cool secret spots or cool locations to look at something or anything that you think is very interesting that you want to share with everybody one last final time before we say goodbye to Breath of the Wild, let me know in the comments down below and you could be on the next video. Without further ado, let's get into the list. First cool location we have is a secret one that takes us to the Royal Library of Hyrule Castle. There's 3 secret entrances, or exits I guess you could say, within the library itself. One of them leads to the basement, which takes you to the other areas of the castle, but there's also 2 other ones that takes you to 2 secret spots. One of those is one on the left side of the room. It will take you to a secret old mine shaft after making your way up the stairs. And there's some pieces of ore in here, but what's really cool is the corrupted Sheikah technology that spans all the way throughout the side of the wall, breaking through the rock. And it might not be just some ordinary Sheikah technology that's glowing right there. In fact, what some people thought it to be was actually the other side of the boss chamber. If you look at your map, it's actually right beside where you fight Ganon, so it's pretty cool, like the boss arena is right on the other side of this wall, and you can even see parts of it shining through the rock. And you can even find the second secret exit, which takes you to the King's Study, where you get to see a journal for King Rome on the table, where he actually gives you some side story from him and Zelda's adventures. It talks about him and Zelda when she was a child, it talks about the death of her mother and how Zelda handled that, and even more details. So if you want to go read that, go check it out for yourself. Next up, we have a secret fairy fountain that's a little bit different than the rest. Now, a lot of you guys probably found this, but maybe some of you guys forgot this even existed, and it was just so weird when we first found it. That takes us to the Melania Spring, where we get to come across one of the weirdest big fairies that I've probably ever seen in a Zelda game. You'll come across the Great Fairy Pod after going down the road in between the mountains, and after donating a lot of money, you will be revealed Melania, the horse god. Now, Melania's only purpose is to help revive your horse if they die, but if your horse died in a way due to your own cause, yep, she might strike down on Link, which is not a good sign. Chances are you have found the Sternita secret hot spring. If you follow the water, however, into a side of a cave, you get to go inside and see a secret little secluded area. And if you look closely in the corner of that area, you'll see a whole bunch of shields that are all rusted and beaten up, laying down on the ground and against the wall. It's nothing a lot to really look at here, but it's very interesting to think and ponder what happened here. Where there's some scouters that eventually stopped here, some soldiers that got lost up here and just kind of rested in this cave, or maybe even passed away in this cave. It's very interesting, and I love little tidbits like these, so wink wink, if you find stuff like this, definitely let me know. This one really isn't a secret location, but rather just one that is a pure beauty. It's a really great sight, and sometimes it's really good to go back and remember what looks so pretty in this game. Well, really everything in this game looks amazing, but this is a spot definitely to behold. If you go up to the path leading up to Death Mountain, right beside the military camp and also right beside Korok Forest, you will have a path where you get to see most of the map all up from a hill, and it's a beautiful view. It's really nothing to point out very specifically, but while we are here, we might as well stop at military camp, because it's also really cool to see this place once again after getting Age of Calamity and seeing what it looked like before. This was simply just a training ground for the soldiers of Hyrule Castle, and none of this mud or anything was really here, and it's just cool to kind of go back and look at it after seeing it from Age of Calamity. Now, I know it's safe to say that probably everyone has seen the Forgotten Temple, and it's just a really cool structure built underground in this giant chasm. It's such a crazy relic that I had to revisit it because it is just so cool how you could enter this thing and see so many reminiscent things of Zelda's past. One really cool detail is seeing these structures of the loft wings on the sides of the doors and the gateways before you even get in here. Of course, making your way through all the dreaded guardians ready to shoot your way down. And that's very interesting while they're even placed here. Maybe they were placed here as a security reason and trying to preserve this area a long time ago. But it's just really cool to be in here again, and of course, see the giant statue of the goddess in the background. It's not quite as big as what we remembered it being in Skyward Sword, but I'm telling you right now, if it doesn't give you chills and goosebumps when you're standing at the top of the altar where Link once did in Skyward Sword, and then jumping down yourself and re-imitating that exact scene from Skyward Sword, I'm telling you, I don't know what type of person you are, because man, I get goosebumps every single time just standing up here. Lots of you guys probably remember me talking about this one, but it's so cute and it's so awesome that I had to talk about it again. You guys probably know the little island beside the Korok Forest known as Makar Island, and it's there to reference Makar, a small little Korok from Wind Waker, just spelled a little bit different with an E instead of an A. Every time you go to this island, it just kind of reminds me of that little Korok, and it's almost as if that tree is in fact the Korok after, like, I don't know, maybe it planted itself there over the years and maybe grew into a tree. I don't know, but it just always gives me a somber, kind of peaceful, resting feeling, as if that poor little Korok is sitting there resting now after all these years after helping Link from The Legend of Zelda Wind Waker. I just love it. It's only cooler that only when you climb onto the top of the tree, the wind will start howling a lot harder, obviously referencing Wind Waker. And when you jump off the tree, the wind then begins to calm down. I just love everything about this, and it even kind of makes me a little bit sad for some reason when it starts raining. I don't know why, but it's kind of a sad place. This is one that I actually never knew existed until now. There's a secret passage somewhere in Hateno Village. Now, I love this village just for the feel that it gives me every single time. I will never forget this village in gaming. It's just one of my favorites. The music, just the vibes, the little cloudy sky all the time, and the kids running around as people work and move about their day is so fascinating to me. But there's one kind of tower. It's like a windmill tower without obviously having any windmills on it, but if you climb up the ladder to the side, you'll get to a little area where you get to crouch in and climb into, and you'll find a little kind of secret area on the top of this windmill with a little haystack with a blanket over top, as if maybe some kids came up here and hid in here when, you know, monsters struck, or maybe this was a kind of a safe spot during storms or something, or maybe even a play area for kids. Hopefully they didn't fall down that hole though, because that probably would hurt. Just a cool secret area that literally has no meaning for the game, but that's why I love stuff like this. Little secrets like this always bring a smile to my face. I can already see the comments now. Nintendo Land, how did we forget about the Akkala Citadel? It doesn't even make sense. It's one of the most important parts of the game. That's why I want to revisit it, because of how important this structure is, and of course, thanks to the Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity, we got to see just why it was so important. This was the military grounds, the final stand for the Hylians before it was all over. Before the Guardians and Ganon himself eventually took over. This was the final stand for Hyrule. And you get to see all the cool battles actually unfold here in Age of Calamity, and just going back and seeing it after playing through all of those crazy battles in that game is just a sight to behold. You can even see the same bridge that you can go underneath in the columns and the little courtyard underneath where you get to see all that in Age of Calamity. It's just awesome to be back here. And also the fact that Age of Calamity is kind of a timeline split, and we don't really get to see that final battle at Akkala Citadel. Instead, we get to see that exact moment where the timeline split, where heroes from the future were actually brought in, and it was just a complete different outcome. Obviously, the heroes winning in that timeline. But when we look at this original timeline, this was the last standing ground of the Hylians and the army in general. This is where they all lost the battle. This was another area I didn't even know existed until today. If you go to Creno Peak, there's a little area of forested trees and bushes and shrubs, but nothing much. If you look towards the corner of that area, you'll see a cave guarded by 2 bears. And yes, you can actually go into this cave and find some food that the bears have stored there, which is so cool. There's a pile of apples and even a honeycomb surrounded by bees, so yep, you'll probably get stung a lot, but the 2 bears will guard it with their lives and try to attack you if you get anywhere near them. You'll probably have to take them down, but make sure you save the meat for at least something good. There's one last secret that I want to share with you guys today, and that is the Gerudo Stash, hidden behind a secret cave. If you go to the Gerudo Tower and fly to the northwest, you'll see a giant boulder area, and you had to knock a lot of these boulders and rocks over, and I just kind of spammed it with bombs. Tons of remote bombs eventually push enough boulders away, allowing you to barely creep in under underneath the main boulder and make your way into the secret Gerudo Stash. And you can use your magnesis on the giant metal boulder, where you can just kind of pick it up and chuck it out the hole and then eventually open up the cave all the way. But on the inside, there's tons of different Gerudo weapons and chests for you to open up for some secret rewards, including a 300 rupee. And that was 10 new locations you probably forgot existed in The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Some of these locations are just so pretty to revisit, and some locations still hold secrets to this day, and there could still be some that a lot of you guys just did not know existed. But if you find any more, from super small secrets to super big ones that I could have missed, make sure you leave your comment down below and we'll continue to go over more as we get ready for the release of Breath of the Wild 2. Let me know what you guys think of these down below, and make sure you leave a like and subscribe to stay up to date on all things Nintendo and all things Zelda, of course, and I will see you all on the next one. See you guys.